Lie after lie. Lie after lie. Lie after lie. Lie after lie. Lie
Oh man, come on, fuck that. Where are you going with this? I've heard it before. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Yeah. Great. Good now. It's Tuesday. They say it's Tuesday. I don't know if I believe them, though. Right. It is. Thank you, guys. Bring the sex. Yep. Yep. That's right. We've been talking about this watch party for a minute. No, I have no clue. I have no idea what we're talking about. But I never do. I never do. I wing it. I think better on my feet. I think better on my feet. Uh-oh. Yeah, dude. So did you ever find out what happened? Yep. Yep. If we can stomach it. Jenny D. I don't know. Oh yeah, DungeonCraft. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep. Well, you mean D&D or you mean Tolkien? We should. Geeks of the Realm. think so. Nerds with the words. Wordy nerd. No, we're not talking about cybersecurity at all. Yeah. What? You did a funny? This is an old fashioned. This is an old fashioned. It's got the maraschino cherry, which I'm almost out of. Orange slices in there. Expressed using Knob Creek. No, I'm using Elijah Craig. Wherever it is. Out here. Oh, what's the one? Is that Pinot Noir? It looks like a Pinot. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, halfway through the bottle of wine, like, that's the thing. You can drink a bottle of wine. You know? I mean, that's completely doable. And if you're getting a proper drunk on, you can drink 2 bottles of wine. I wouldn't suggest it. I think it's a bad move. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I by myself in one sitting of playing chess or running a game, I think half a bottle to a bottle is perfectly fine. Some people say if you open a bottle of wine, you better finish it. I don't put it in the fridge. Yeah, but then you accidentally leave it in the fridge, and then it's like 3 months later, and you're like, "Hey, you can use it for cooking, though." Mm, mm. My lady friend came over, and she was like, and we were talking. I was like, "Hey, look, I bought some steaks. I bought some various bits and pieces. Let's cook." And she's very good at cooking, so I had her cook the steak, and I cooked the vegetables. There's a point where she's like, "Oh, do you have any thyme? Do you have any whatever basil or whatever she used for herbs? Rosemary is what it was." And I was like, yeah. We got some soy sauce, got this bullshit. She didn't put that on the steak, by the way. We were sauteing some vegetables. And she was like, oh, grab that wine. Look at the wine. It's white wine. She's like, oh, yeah, we can use that. And hit some mushrooms with that wine. It was all right, dude. It was all right. It's all right. You just said you didn't know what you're talking about. And here you are throwing out words like reductions. Y'all reducing me. In the fridge? I don't know. I wonder if you're probably putting too much in. I think you can cook fish. Well, I've cooked fish in red wine, and honestly, now that I think about it, I probably should have used white because it stains it. It was good though. Make a sauce out of it, I think. You know? Okay, that's enough about wine. Hopefully, anyone who's listening or watching, what are you drinking? We would love to know because that's what we do in our spare time. Yeah. What are we doing tonight, Ken? I know. We'll throw it up there. I know. Critical Role. Oh, Critical Role. Critical Role's fine. It's fine. I've never made it through a whole episode though. No, it's like 4 hours. Yeah. Yeah, I actually know quite a bit about. Not like a ton. Earlier, before we went live, Ken threw out the Dunning-Kruger effect on me, which I know he was not so surreptitiously saying that maybe I'm talking out of my ass. But I actually do have some actually knowledge about Critical Role. Do you know much about him? Marisha Ray. She's from Louisville. Pretty sure. Yep. Yeah, they got away from that real quick. Not really. It's pretty wild. That is cool. Yeah. You are. Thou art. I haven't turned it on because I'm not using my headphones. I can hear it. I can hear it. I'll just mute. Now they do a lot of different stuff. Yeah. Right. So they started back in like 2015, 16, and they were on Geek and Sundry, which is not Tina Fey, Felicia Day. I was confused, Felicia Day and Tina Fey. It was the Guild. Awesome. Well, it was a YouTube show. That was YouTube Aristocracy. Yeah. So the story is, Matt Mercer was running a game for them, and I forget the guy's name. If I see him, then I know who he is. But one of the guys, is his birthday, and he was like, "Oh, I want to play some D&D." And so they started playing. They had this game that was going for a couple of years, and Felicia Day was like, "Listen, you guys are really funny. Your voice actors not particularly well known, as in they're not famous, but if you play those video games, you probably knew of them. And why don't you come down to the studio and just play your game on Geek and Sundry? I bet it would hit." And at this time, 2015, 14, whatever, like if someone said, "Hey, do you think people would watch a bunch of people play a full session, by and large unedited D&D game?" The answer would be laughs. I mean, and you encountered that. Mm. Yeah. So they were wrong. They were wrong. So Critical Role, their production quality at the beginning was shit. I mean, they were in a studio, but they had technical issues all over the place. They started with like 300 people watching, by the way. So, and so here's the thing. I'm kind of getting to that. I don't know if it's still on there or not, because they are no longer with Geek and Sundry. So what happened was they started getting really popular and being like, wait a minute, this is actually hitting. Like, this is actually starting to blow up. And insert all kinds of like wild drama. One of the original guys, there's a whole slew of drama that went down with him, which the people that are, I think they're called critters or critties. It's like Swifties, but for Critical Role. Like, they don't talk about it anymore because the cast was like, hey, listen, don't talk about it. We're not, basically you'll get banned from the forum if you do, and we're just letting it lie. All kinds of stuff, in-game drama, whatever. And people that were watching it followed all of that. It's actually kind of interesting. It in a weird way, it reminded me of the real world, just to date myself a little bit. Because there was this real life element to these real people that are passionately playing this game and telling a story, and they're good at telling the story. And Matt Mercer is a very good DM, at least in terms of Dungeons and Dragons. And he's a very good storyteller. So D&D gets popular in a way that it's never gotten popular. Arguably is the reason that there was a Dungeons and Dragons movie. Arguably. Yeah, Critical Role is... Yeah, but they sucked. And not like this. Well, they're all annoying because they're kids. And when we went to go see the D&D movie, I think... Yeah, we did. I want to say it may have just been me. I don't know if... I think Holker was with us, but those cartoon characters are in the D&D movie. Yeah, they make 3 or 4 cameos. So when they're at the end, when they're in like the spoilers, when they're in the maze box thing, and it's basically a dungeon, one of the other teams is the cartoon. It's those cartoon characters. At any rate, so Critical Role, they run several seasons. They do an anime that got released 2-3 years ago, maybe 4. They've gotten extremely popular. Like, their careers are made. Like, they are legitimately famous in the con community, in the gaming community, and they make... Critical Role literally makes millions of dollars. Now, this is just as Critical Role. They left Geek and Sundry. Creative differences happened. I want to say Felicia Day had left before that. She went off to other things. And they started... Well, it's not clear. I think it was they were getting a lot of money. They were getting a lot of support from the fans, a lot of gifts. I mean, like, it's insane. Like, people were just giving them lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff. And it started becoming a business because it needed to. And so they were like, well, we need to own this. Like, whatever happened, they left Geek and Sundry. There's a little bit of a kerfuffle. The open open D20 license, open GL, I think is what it's called, gaming license. Oh, it's not surprising. That's not surprising. Well, and that's actually very timely, because that's one of the things is, so they're making a ton of money, like millions of dollars. Okay. I mean, we're not talking like hundreds of millions at the time, but a lot of money off of Hasbro's property. Then Hasbro owns WotC, owns D&D. And so there's this element of, I mean, imagine we did a bunch of Star Wars shit and started getting millions of dollars for it. How fast would Industrial Light and Magic be on our asses and Disney, right? So the open gaming license comes down, and one of the main contentions was, we should have Mildred on here talking about this because I'm sure he knows everything. The main contentions was that it was, okay, look, if you do a D&D stream and you make over in a certain amount of money, you owe us like 70% or whatever. And this is very much motivated. Well, and there are all these other streams, like for example, us, you know? No one can hear you. I can hear you. Well, good, because I just had like a 15-minute diatribe. So you weren't talking at least, but I'm glad you caught it. Yeah, no one can hear you. You want me to mic you again? I have the mic set up.
OBS is okay. OBS is kind of being a dick. All right, now they can hear me. Fuck. I'm glad I look at, you know. I feel like
I'm really glad.
I feel like we
don't have a drizzle.
I feel like we should start again.
Yeah, we can hear you. No, well, you hadn't said that much. Although you didn't do the intro. We'll just add the intro at the end.
We'll do the intro at the end. All right, this will be one of the weirder podcasts that we've done. Sure,
that's
why
okay.
not?
That's okay.
Nobody. I mean, what else? I had a lot of good zingers in there. I had some
for like 10 seconds straight, and that'll be like where you cut.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll chop us in at this point. I think for the re-upload at least. I mean, you said some really. But I'm gonna keep all the stuff.
15 minutes of backstory.
I'm gonna keep all the stuff you said, and then all the stuff that I said before that. You know, before we got, you know, we're like introducing. I'm drinking wine, you're drinking bourbon, all that shit. That's how. Yeah, dude. Because I'm a man. No, we'll start when you get all cerebral at talking.
You asked me about Critical Role, and I'm telling you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You got bored.
So I think we should watch a little bit of the early episode of Geek and Sundry Critical Role, and then chime in on that, and then watch like the most recent episode and see where they are. And
well, I have about 15 more seconds to actually say in my diatribe about Critical Role.
Go for it. I interrupted.
So all this goes down. They're getting famous. OpenGL goes down, does what they do. And Critical Role starts switching systems. I believe Matt Mercer created his own. He at least created his own setting. It's the world that those seasons are in. And I believe they created their own game. And I believe they are playing that game.
Yeah, they have two games.
I know he's written. I know that he's written stuff for D&D and all that, but I believe they started transitioning away. Now this is where my knowledge gets a lot thinner, because the other campaigns I was far less interested in. And it's much more like a business now. Like the different cast members have literal titles in the business. They go to cons. They are a company that is producing content now, and that content is of all different manners and sorts, and it's not really a grassroots, hey, we're a bunch of people playing games and voice acting and telling a story anymore. Now it's like, hey, we got famous, and I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just not interested in it anymore. So the last 2 or 3 years, I don't know anything.
Sure. Well, I mean, they established. They got established. They're fine. Yeah. They're telling the story. They're having a good time.
They probably got bored. They probably got bored too. They're like, hey, let's move on.
I feel like I feel like they're doing the same thing that they've always done. They've turned it into a business, and you know,
There is something nice about, in my mind, there's something nice about realizing that what you're watching is authentic and is the only reason that someone's doing it is because of their passion, because it's not about money. It's not about views or there's no ulterior motive. Again, someone will argue with me till the cows come home about this, but there is a difference when I watch a chess stream like Gotham Chess, the biggest chess stream there possibly is, and I like Gotham, but there's a point where it's like, you know, that dude knows he's famous, he says it, and it doesn't seem very authentic sometimes. Whereas when I see one of these other chess streamers, yeah, they're doing it for the views, they're trying to build their channel and all these things, but there's this element of that's just a person, and they're doing something for the love of it, not because they know if they do this, they're going to get 200 million views or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't think
Critical.
I think Critical Role started out humble roots, and they built their audience. I think they started out with a bigger audience than we had.
Much bigger. They had 300 people, I'm pretty sure, the first day.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to compare us, because I think comparisons lead to jealousy and some really silly stuff. But I think they're basically the show that they were without much change when they started, which is
there's a different feel, and maybe it's just my perception.
9 years ago is what,
like third year or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were pulling on like interesting guests. Will Wheaton was on there for a while. No, he had beef with them at some point, but you know, a bunch of like people that were their friends and just geeky people, and I mean, they're just chilling out at a table, hanging out.
Sure.
But now it doesn't have that feel.
Right.
It's not what we're watching right now. It's more like a show, and there's something that's like, it's so produced that I'm like, I don't really feel like I'm watching I feel like I'm watching the Disney Channel or something.
Well, it's definitely they put money into their set. I mean, it definitely the set that they have, and you know, their chat. I'm just looking at the chat, kind of scroll by. People they eventually
get rid of that. They get rid of that quick.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, because people
they really play around with different things, and you realize like they at first, I'm pretty sure they start paying attention to it.
Yeah.
But and then they're like, wait a minute, we can't pay attention to this.
The animated sequence that they have on their YouTube page.
That's all new.
Is really, I think they had an animated sequence of some kind. I don't know
in the beginning
why.
they didn't. Not like that anyway. Not that.
Yeah,
production.
not to this level of production. It's really it's impressive.
Yeah. But you know, that's a show, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a show.
It is a show.
But Bridge, they've gone through.
If we just
somebody has gone through that.
We're looking at this show. They're all in a studio. The lighting as well. They have good mics, probably mics that are actually shot down from the ceiling.
Yeah.
If I was
going to give them, does it look like they're in a dungeon?
No, it looks like they're in an inn, not a dungeon. And it looks like
that's actually their soundstage.
Yeah, but it also looks fake to me. It looks like they're in front of a green screen. If I'm going to be real, it doesn't look.
Is that new?
This is the most recent episode. So, like if we compare their production quality, that's the wrong YouTube channel. Yeah, to this one,
See, I love that. I love that.
They don't have And they don't have mics. I mean, when we watch this in a few minutes, or watch 5 or a few minutes of it.
Look at the light on Matt Mercer.
I mean, he has no light. I mean, I'm lit
like
better
this.
than he is right now.
It's like this.
Yeah. I mean,
like I love that
for sure.
I love
Here,
that.
let me match my lighting to.
You still look good. You still look good though.
I still have more lighting than he does.
You still have more light than he does.
Than he does. Yeah, this is a new. My partner, she got a job, and so she closed her office down, and she gave me her light.
Oh, I see.
And so that's why it's all fancy. I got the fancy dimmers. I can change the colors.
Oh my. Okay.
I'm all
That's
over the
pretty
place.
sweet.
I thought it was neat.
It is cool.
It was.
Yeah,
I feel like I had it a little bright. I feel like I need to bring it back a little bit.
Like I feel like when I watch this, it's just a bunch of people hanging out, passionate about the game. They're gamers. They're getting into it, and it's like, wow, that is interesting. And then when you see it now, I'm like, it's like when you go see one of your favorite bands. I don't know, maybe no one has the same thing, but like, I remember when I saw Green Day. Okay, I like Green Day.
Okay.
When I saw Green Day, they're a little bit before my time, right? I mean, I grew up with Green Day, but I was a kid when they came out. Like, I was very, very young. So when I got to see them as an adult, they were ancient. They were in their 30s.
Sure.
And middle, late 30s.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, we saw them in Detroit, and I remember thinking, I wonder if, like, they're going to be so commercial, because they've been at this for like 15 years, 20 years. And that show was so good. It was nothing like what you see on like the album art and like in the media and shit. They played like they were just fucking Green Day. Like 3 of them up there kicking ass, no pomp and circumstance, no flames or some bullshit. And they were so good just to watch. It felt very authentic. But there have been bands and there have been things that I've gone to where there's a change. It becomes like glossy and sleek, and it kind of loses something.
You like it
I
when
think Critical Role's kind of lost it.
When it's yours, and
yeah, you feel like you're in the room.
Yeah, and you could walk up to one of these guys and have a conversation with them a lot more than you like it when
Well, that's
they're
the
so
truth, though.
big. They're so big that there's
Right.
no way. There's no way.
They come out on stage and they get like the mic, look, hey guys, it's so bullshit. And I'm like, I mean, rock and roll for them, but I'm not interested in that. Like, had they started out that way, I would have had zero interest. The interest had to do with, wow, why aren't we doing this? Because who the fuck are they? And wow, like what we're doing is the same thing as what they're doing in their game. And in some ways, we're doing it better in some ways. Wow. Like there's an interest, there's a communion there.
Sure.
You feel like, hey, you guys are awesome. But then they get like rich about it and they're driving their whatever's about it. And that Critical Role money. It's just not as interesting.
That's just not very good. It looks like these are all fan videos. No, this one isn't a fan video. All right.
When we start making that GGP money,
yeah,
the world will see.
Yeah, you know me. But yeah, so I mean, so if you look at the 2024 version of a Green Day concert, they've gone, it looks great. It's really crisp. They're shooting in black and white because concerts are impossible to shoot in color. And
was that
they're
2024?
They're trying to do, it says November 12th.
2024.
Yeah, they're way too young for this. So this must be an older.
Yeah, that's not it. There's no way.
I'm guessing this
Billy
is
Joe
like,
Armstrong is like,
yeah,
he's like in his 50s.
Yeah, it makes that drummer. He looks kind of old.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Who knows?
I mean, they
I
do
don't know.
look young. They are young. They were like 16, 17 when they started making it.
Them and Duran. I feel like
but they don't look young. In American Idiot, 2004, September 21st. There's a story of them. I actually have the Rolling Stone cover. It's like the only thing on my wall.
Yeah.
And it's a Billy Joe Armstrong. And there's a story of them in the airplane, and one of the waitresses, one of the stewardesses or flight attendant is like, who is that? I'm like, oh, that's Green Day. And they're like, what? Mind you, this is 2004, and Green Day started in like 87, 88.
Yeah, Green Day's been.
Really
I mean, I knew who
94?
Green Day was in 90 when I was in middle school in the 90s, or late 80s, early 90s.
I want to say Dookie and Insomniac came out in 94, 95.
Yeah, so
and
87 is when they started.
Yeah, so they were blowing up by 1990, 92, and they were on MTV by 94. So this woman is like, wait a minute, Green Day, they've been around for like 10, 15 plus years. Those guys are way too young to be Green Day. And Billy Joe Armstrong was like 36 years old.
Yeah.
And they'd been at the game for like 15 years.
They're not that much older than me. Just a few years older than I am. So.
Well, you didn't grow up in the Bay Area as in a punk band.
I know. But I lived in the Bay Area for a minute, so that didn't count. Yeah. I did.
Playing music?
I did. I played I wrote a couple of songs there. I didn't like perform anywhere. I went to a lot of performances.
Well, you have to do that.
The Bay Area was great. I mean, if you've ever been to,
you got to do it.
If you've ever been to the area, the problem with being there is that everybody's amazing, just talented, creative. You think LA's bad? Go to the San Francisco, Oakland, Bay Area, and you'll find incredibly talented, creative individuals that are just immersed in it. That was my experience, at least. It was good.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, Critical Role. So I'll stop talking and let's watch a little bit of this.
But and I'm sure this is the part of the video that we're probably going to get, copyrighted or something like that.
Probably.
But I'm pulling everything from YouTube, and I feel like if we're going to do this with anyone, every other video is like other people talking some shit about something that's going on
Let's see what happens
on YouTube. So, and here we go. There it's happening. It's just very quiet because their mics suck. No, I'm just kidding.
Time Travel Mart, which there's one in Echo Park and one in Mar Vista. So they have this amazing storefront where you can buy.
Oh, so they're already advertising some Echo Park store, episode 1. We might have to scroll further into it because they already have ads for local business.
Also, as a heads up, so I saw some of you guys asking in the chat room, these videos will be available on the Geek and Sundry YouTube channel soon enough, as well as a more extensive backstory to the party. So we'll have all the content ready for you, so you don't have to memorize it, and maybe a bio page, I don't know. We'll figure something out. It'll be fine. But anyway, let's open that up. You know who I am, Matthew Mercer. I'm a voice actor and been running this game for 2 years, hardcore nerd. Let's go around the table and introduce our players so you can attach the faces to the intros you just saw. Let's start on this side with Travis.
Oh, hi. I'm Travis Willingham, voice actor, gamer, and I play Grog, the Goliath Barbarian.
Oh, they got the music up like way loud.
Hi, I'm Laura Bailey. I'm also, a voice actor like kind of everyone here.
Yeah, I think we all.
And I'm playing Vexalia, the coolest chick ever.
The ranger with the bear.
The ranger with the bear named Trinket, in case you didn't catch that. His name is Trinket, and he's amazing.
Hi, I'm Liam O'Brien. I'm playing Vaxiel Don, this one's twin. We are half-elven twins, and I started playing D&D when I was 13, and I can't believe this is happening, so cheers. Cheers to this.
So I'm pretty sure that's the dude that they started the game for.
And I have been
The Liam O'Brien is they started the game because of him.
by my black clothing a lot of Vampire the Masquerade when I was a teenager. There was a problem.
And the guy that kind of looks like me, if I did crack, I think that was the one that had the scandal.
I am Keyleth, the druid from the tribe of the Arashari, and I am a half-elven
No, you're an elf.
person. No, half-elf.
Half elf.
Yeah, come on, man. Half-elf since day
You have a lot of
one.
half-elves.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, half-elf.
Misunderstood.
Yes, and yeah, you can see me shooting lightning and turning into awesome animals. Yeah.
All right.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, everybody. I'm Miranda Caba. I'm also a voice actor. I do things.
Oh, I'm Marisha Ray, by the way. Did
Yeah.
I say that?
Yeah,
Okay,
Just
I'm
in case.
Marisha Ray.
Keyleth is
Just in
Marisha
case.
Ray.
Let Orion have his moment. Don't try and break.
No, it's our moment.
There you go. All right.
And I'm Tiberius, the awesome sorcerer.
Dragonborn. So
Dragonborn. Yeah. That's right.
And I'm Sam Riegel, a voice actor and stuff. And my character is Scanlan Shortheart, the gnome.
I mean, they're getting love from the very beginning. According, it's very tiny. It's hard to see. I can
That's the thing is
we left off. Just
like
what they're doing right now
completed
Yeah.
is so discordant, no pun intended.
one of the central
It's
capitals
just what we do.
Human civilization of Tal'Dorei.
Like, there's no difference. There's also another girl. There's a blonde girl who's an actor, who's actually like been in a lot of really cool stuff, and she joins them. I don't know why she's not with them. Maybe she wasn't in the game yet.
She was kind of in and out. I think they replaced that one guy.
Orion, yeah, they do. Yeah, he. The long and the short of what happened with him in party politics, as in that he was kind of like one of those players that tends to kind of work against the rest of the group, and
The Katrina.
just a little bit not like Katrina though, because Andrea will still talk about it. We still like playing with her.
Yeah.
The thing
that's
is
true.
that like when that turns a little bit toxic, and he was starting to rub people the wrong way from what I understand, like especially like fans, because he just kind of, there's a few moments that his character just, you can tell he's fixated on something, and it's really not what the game's about. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was in the background, he got really sick. I don't know if it was cancer. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but he got really sick, like life-threatening sick, and started stealing money. And it's this thing that it's kind of hush-hushed. You have to put it together, but he got involved in a scandal. And
yeah, essentially.
Basically, Matt Mercer / the group was like, you got to go.
Yeah.
So they were very diplomatic about it. And they were even diplomatic. Matt Mercer was very diplomatic about it in the actual game with Orion's character, Tiberius. Like, he didn't just nuke his character or something. His character had a send-off, but I don't think Orion was there.
Yeah.
And Orion did an apology and all these things, but he kind of screwed up his reputation. And what sucks for him, like I actually mean this, like in a very unfortunate way, is Critical Role was starting to get famous. They were starting to get some actual traction, some money. They were realizing, wait a minute, we actually have something. Finally, us voice actors who are kind of doing this and that are getting somewhere. And that's when all this went down. So Orion,
he's out.
Fell off the bus.
Yeah, he's out.
So
he
he didn't
lost
get-
at the pinnacle of when, these guys are making
Right when
millions
it
of
switched.
dollars at this point. Like I think I had it up like it was 10 million or something is
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Right before that,
Yeah.
before they actually made like critical mass, no pun intended, and like became something, he just screwed up, man. He screwed up hard.
Sure,
And
sure.
they say everything's cool with him, but like, you'll never
Clearly.
see him on there.
Yeah, clearly not. I mean, the everything went the way that it did, and it's hard to get past that. I mean, I know that there's a lot of emotion and energy, and I think we'll talk about this in a little bit when we get to one of the other videos, because I think it's kind of interesting. If we get that far, we might not we might be just stuck in Critical Role land, but it really should be a fun experience. I think first and foremost, the playing of role-playing games needs to be, and I think I've said this from the beginning, almost therapeutic. It is your chance to let your guard down and be and say and do things and have a little respite away from your current situation. And it sounds like, that you said his name was Ryan.
Orion Akaba.
Ryan Akaba. It sounds like he was going through some real shit, and
Yeah, he was going through a bunch. He's actually our age too.
Yeah. I think they're all about our age. I feel like I'm older or younger. I mean, I think I'm older than everybody there, but
I'm looking for a place to stay. I heard that right.
Yeah, I mean, in 2017, he tweeted, "Have a good game, guys. Tiberius Stormwind's spirit fights alongside you." So,
nice.
spoilers, Orion's character, Tiberius, they deal with him. And it's a pretty emotional episode from what I remember, literally for the cast, because of all that's gone down,
Right. When I started watching Critical Role, I actually was confused because I don't think I'd seen any episodes until they had their own YouTube station. So I was like, why are you starting it? And I felt like they were doing it on at home and it wasn't recorded, but it looks like I could go back and watch the first episodes. And if you see the cartoon, The Legend of Vox Machina, I think it takes place after clearly this guy is out.
I'm pretty sure he's not in. He might be in Vox Machina, but I don't think he is.
I don't think he is.
He was in 27 episodes of the first season of the literal show, and then was out.
All right, so maybe they're into some gameplay at this point. You want to give them a chance?
Yeah.
That's all she does.
All right.
Yep.
It's a nervous tick, really.
Yeah, it's a feat sheet program. You progress to the western side of the Craghammer rotation as you kind of curl around the central platform, making your way eventually to the outside of this rather large central tavern inn. As you walk up, you can hear music playing. You can hear laughter and boastful cheer. You could hear some arguments in the distance. You can hear it from a good 2-3 buildings away. This is definitely a central social environment here in Craghammer. As you walk inside, let me get some proper tavern music here for you.
Oh.
I think
Smells in here.
Indeed. Some loud, boisterous drinks being clinked together. As you walk in, the first thing that catches you is the scent of stale alcohol and what smells like smoked wood of some kind.
Yes!
There are tables, most of them in decent condition, but some of them half broken and repaired, probably for some previous encounter in the bar. In the center of the room, there looks to be a not currently in use, specifically built brawling circle. It's about maybe about 30 feet by 20 feet. It's more of an oval, and it's not in use currently.
An octagon?
Essentially.
How high is the ceiling? Can Grog fit in here?
All right, the ceiling actually is considered vaulted ceilings for dwarves, so it runs at about 7 feet. For Grog, it's an uncomfortable, like almost scratching your head across the top. And as you enter, about 7 or 8 of the nearby dwarves at the front door go. Just look immediately at the ragtag non-dwarven group that just kind of stumbled into the center of the tavern.
It's definitely tropey. They're all in a tavern.
Well, it's not very often we catch someone with that kind of a mug on you. Let me buy you a drink. Come sit down.
My kind of people, see you later. I'm going to have a drink.
We
with
grab a
the
table
lovely
next to the dwarves with Grog.
All right. Both tables next to the table they're at are completely filled with dwarves.
All right, I take a sack of gold out of my own pocket and slam down the table.
Sack of gold? Are you crazy?
Gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, we are traveling from far away. We've just arrived from Iman. We are fascinated to see your underground city, and to celebrate the occasion, I would like to buy every dwarf in here around. Bartender!
The music stops. The conversation stops. All dwarven eyes turn to the table, and they all turn to a single dwarven woman at the back who's behind one of the bars, who has a towel over one arm, and she's kind of frantically looking around. She's staring confused at you, and all eyes are on her, and she goes,
Well, it's about time someone around here had some generosity. Certainly, pay up front drinks around on this half-elfin gentleman.
Let's go!
Yeah, and they definitely have some really solid audio issues. Which I think, you know, when we get to the newer version, one of the things I noticed about this version, something that we could improve about in our game, is that there is a camaraderie that they have and a lot of energy. It's a high energy, everybody's invested and moving around and just having a really great time. And I think that they benefit a lot from being in the same place, whereas on the internet we're separate.
By this round, we really.
Patrons that come in and drop coin like that are welcome anytime.
Well, thank you for your hospitality. Might we inquire about staying here the night? Do you have an inn with this tavern?
She reaches below and pulls out a big tome and starts skimming through it.
You know, actually, we have openings right now on the second floor.
Several rooms or just one?
Do you need them side by side?
That would be nice.
I could probably muster that. I'll push him into room
Something
7.
with a little bed for me.
Child! One of the dwarf barmaiders kind of looks over. Hey.
Get Stepson out of his room, move him to the third floor. They've got to open a block for our new guests.
And then the voices are definitely on point, you know, with Matt Mercer and the start, and even some of the other characters, even though they're clearly more nervous, I think at this point than they are at this.
25.
Or they were more nervous about getting online and talking and being there. This is like a big deal for these guys. The mannerisms and the movement, and everybody is constantly moving. They're all actively drinking, and they are. It's a party atmosphere, but they're definitely.
At least a few days. Let's say a week.
With an indefinite hold, we are.
Well, that's the thing, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Is they're just a bunch of geeks. Like, they happen to be voice actors, and so that's literally what they bring to the table. And it's really interesting to listen to and watch, but they're just gamers, and the decisions they make, you can tell the gaming politics. The one person gets something in their mind. It's obviously wrong. They go back and forth on plans. The DM's sitting there like this. They argue sometimes. Like, it's just a group of people that are playing D&D.
The rest of you hand you some paperwork.
And then if you move to the like now, you'll see the difference that I'm talking about.
You want to just give it. Well, let's let them. What I'll do is I'll let it play for another minute, and then we'll just transition from that and not have us to the new one.
Is this your first time in Krakow?
Yes.
The Carvers are the guard that run this city. They're the ones who keep the law.
The Scar.
Yes, the armor, the Carvers.
Yeah, what is
the Carvers.
At which point, she kind of leans back and as he reveals the rather gnarled scar on your chest, she reels back a bit and two nearby dwarves go, hey! They start showing their scars and it's like, oh no, I got this one from a bad iron bolt. And then they start talking about different creatures they fought. All right, well, just the Carvers are a bit of a, sort of a, how do I put it? A military class in this city. They run a very tight ship on the streets, so just be careful.
That shouldn't be a problem. Mostly we're just looking for Lord Greyspine, if I recall. We just have business with him.
We might have business with you if you've seen a halfling come through.
She thinks to herself and goes, no, there was a halfling woman, but she was staying at the Firebrook in
The Firebrook.
the bottom floor for a couple of weeks.
And where?
Let's talk about her. She got in a few fights herself. Oh, the silver armor, that one. Yeah, she was a firebrand if ever I saw one. Right up my alley. I like that one.
How long ago would you say this was?
Oh, she's been for a few weeks. I haven't seen her recently.
Thank you. Perfect.
Is there a champion of the circle of fighting?
I think that is a really good moment. I'm gonna try and skip to role playing in this version.
And a friend. What's their name again?
We're not from around here. Older gentleman by the name of Ludinus.
Oh, I fucking knew it! Oh! Sorry, that was Liam. Ludinus! Does Orm at least know country of origin? With his history. Fucking knew it. Natural 20.
Yo! Give the man his prize.
You are indeed aware of the Cerberus Assembly from Wildmount, and with the natural 20, I will say you are aware of the loose hierarchy there, and know that Ludinus is one of the, if not the founding member of the group. You know of their checkered history. They're both dangerous, but they're both a bit arrogant. The advantages that we have, that I have, is that we've been forgotten. At least I have been. It's the Callaways that draw their attention. And I think at this point, we have to diverge. After all, I can't have your scent on me any further.
Everybody's still, like, I mean, that's the biggest, the mannerisms of all these guys. They are focused and they're in it and they're in the zone. It's clearly a much more dramatic scene than the other scene, and Matt Mercer is making all those big arm movements, which I think is really kind of fun. But
you hear like the cracking of glass.
The drama's there. I didn't realize the music was as loud as it is.
Yeah, try to find a more happy-go-lucky scene.
Yeah. So we're gonna go back a little bit and maybe I would say in episode 1.
There's nothing wrong with what they're doing here. It's not that. That really isn't it. It just there's something that.
And then a flash of dark purple energy.
Honestly, I don't see it in this. This isn't really what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like
one of the
fine.
things,
It's just really good production quality.
What I was gonna say is the production quality. I think even in the last several episodes, they're cutting. They're going in between different scenes. They're mixing it up. If you go back, I'm sure just maybe 20 episodes, and we'll I'm gonna pause it. And
yeah, that may not be the. Oh, wait, is it just 1 hour?
Yeah.
Are you doing the abridged version? Oh, you're doing abridged.
It is
That's
the
why.
abridged. Oh, I didn't realize.
It literally says abridged. So that's why.
I picked the most recent video.
They got that abridged money, dude.
Abridged money. They've cut it down.
If anybody doesn't know, editing video is a big old bitch, and like to cut down
3
a
hours of
4-hour
content.
episode.
Yeah.
Welcome to tonight's.
guess what they're doing.
You better be making some dough.
You said the Prab.
So, despite Tiberius Stormwind's Orion Akaba stating he left Critical Role due to health reasons, Matt Mercer has shut down any possibility of his return to the series,
Amethyst Gulch Sierras.
suggesting that something else could be at play.
It was long ago.
In a Reddit post, he said, Matt Mercer said he was glad Orion was taking care of, had been taking care of his health and was making positive steps forward in his life. However, he added at the end, quote, that being said, in hopes of ending the arguments and discussions within for both our sakes and his, there are no plans for Orion to ever return to Critical Role. Before that, it says, wilder allegations about Orion Akaba having hit the internet to explain the Critical Role player's departure, such as scamming from a crowdfunding project he started. These are accusations that are all unfounded. So I don't want to throw dirt on the dude. No one really knows what the deal is. Whether he was cheating, that was one of the allegations. A lot of the players, or I'm sorry, a lot of the fans were watching and players were like checking his rolls. It's all allegations, but something happened. Orion says he had health issues and he left. There's all these accusations. And the thing is, this is far be it from me to disparage how they're dealing with their business. But the thing is, they won't say what happened.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And so there's this element of, okay. And the thing is, in the Reddit, in any of the forums that are actually like official Critical Role stuff, it literally says, do not mention Tiberius Stormwind or Orion Akaba, or else you'll just be deleted and banned.
Yeah.
Like, don't mention it. And they say that because
there's
hot
definitely
discussion, but it's like, you know,
there's definitely bad
people wanna know.
blood. It's bad blood.
Something.
I mean, it's up to them.
Something is up.
I mean, when you have your own business, you can do whatever you want.
Truth.
One
But if you're
of
making
the
money
things,
off of it, then somebody gets to say.
Yeah, I mean, people get fired all the time. He was different. He's kind of different than these guys. If you look at him,
he's a little more sullen, a little more cerebral.
He's definitely has some mannerisms that are different, and his acting is over the top, and you know. He got flustered in that little bit of question, and maybe he never calmed down. I mean, it's difficult doing this stuff in real time. We have conversations about this all the time. It's easy to get flustered. It's easy to lose track. And if you're not focused, and even if you are focused, it's easy to lose what the fuck you're trying to say. And it could be an acting thing. He's not clicking with the other cast members, and they're cast members, and this is the production, and if it's not gelling behind the scenes or in front of the scenes, you're going to get fired anywhere. It's just, that's what happens. I keep expecting, I keep expecting, you know, that to happen with us, but apparently we're doing good so far.
And you can't shoot your eyes up at the space where that.
I'm just poking you. Just poking you.
I love it.
These if
I do, I want to
perception check.
34.
Yeah, they're rolling a lot. They're critically rolling a lot. There's a lot of rolling.
They are.
24. You do not.
Okay. When it comes down to it, these are the Critical Role fan-run communities for discussion and news about the show. Orion's personal behavior has nothing to do with the show. All right. Well, I'm going to call bullshit on that, because literally the show is their personalities. The odds of hurting more people and dividing the community further by repeating the same drama and speculation over and over again are high. The small upside of potentially educating a few people who might have participated, blah, 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 blah. Basically, it's you can't talk about Orion or Tiberius or else you'll get banned. And I think that is fucking fascist.
Well, they might be over it.
I think it's stupid.
I mean,
well, of course they're over it.
They don't
but
wanna,
they're getting millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, listen, guys.
They've moved on.
We want the drama. We want to know.
They've cut it off. They've had enough. They've had enough. We
want to know what's up.
And then, you know, Geek and Sundry's had a couple of scandals since then. That was not their biggest scandal anyway.
Yeah, apparently they did. Yeah. I really don't know what the scandals are, but I do know that they had them.
we talked about it earlier. It was like a rape scenario fantasy thing between one of their dungeon masters.
Oh, that's right.
And like
That's right.
the character didn't even know, and it was like, and then it took them a while to figure out, oh wait, I was violated. And I think that's what shut down their ultimately it shut down their ability to role play. And that was going to happen if you don't. I mean, I think it's important that everybody's on the same page and have a conversation beforehand and say, hey, shit's going to go down. There's a violation. And I think this is something that we've experienced in our games potentially, because stuff does get intense and you're dealing with a lot of intense situations that have a lot of real world. Like if it happened in the real world, it would be catastrophic. And I think we even gravitate towards that. I mean, the Critical Role people are in a war, a constant war, how they're not pillaging all the time. And they are. They're pillaging boxes. They're rampaging through other people. They got an enemy and they're going to bring them down. They're going to kill him.
Violence is the answer. Choose violence, I believe, is their hashtag, by the way.
Is it? Choose violence?
Yeah, choose violence.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, and that's
I think
that's something I've noticed in role playing games with you and even on other one shots. Players are super fast. I want to fucking fight.
Hardcore.
When can we fight? When I want to roll. Like, I don't like this guy for no reason. I want to fight him right now.
That's a common thing, man. Someone gets bored, and I mean, it's a trope. It's a trope with certain players that you can tell someone's bored because they're like, "Cool, I shoot it, I stab it," and. But that's in every gaming shop. It's in every group. There's always somebody that has a penchant for doing that.
All right. So production value is clearly better. The one thing I do notice about this, I think it's a one shot is what we're looking at. Well, it's campaign 3, episode 105.
Yeah, I don't think they do one shots.
I think they do one shots. Yeah, they do one shots occasionally. They do one shots.
They do guest DMs.
Yeah,
they'll have guest DMs. That's right.
They'll have all kinds of different things. But it is pretty much, I guess that cut down that they did, it seems like it was edited and really nicely done. Whereas the live game, they just sit on those cameras. There's nothing that happens until I guess there's a big battle at some point. Let's see if there's a battle at some point. And they do a lot of like edited content. This is an episode where they're not fighting. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I like kind of pointing them out because of their success. I think it's interesting the way they've become successful in kind of doing their own thing, and I think it's good for them. Good for their, what with all of the scandals, the Hasbro, the people are always going to get hurt, and working with other people, there's always going to be drama. I'm surprised at how little drama there has been with this group. And they're all A-list.
Well, there has been drama.
Well, there might have been. I don't know about it. How's that? But it seems like they're all participating outside of the game. They all consider this a job. They've got marketing. They've got They've got.
I mean, why would you screw this up? Like there's a point after I want to say season 3 where it's so obvious this is your meal ticket.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to screw that up.
Yeah.
Even after season 1, it's like, holy crap, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're actually making it.
Right.
And they've made it. Like they came out to LA and they're doing a thing. It's pretty impressive.
So one of the things I want to do is I want to click in our last episode, not our last episode, but the second to last episode of what we're doing on the Red Writ, and kind of let us kind of talk through some stuff. Yeah, thanks. So I'm gonna refresh my wine and I'll be right back.
All right. Here I was. You want to take a break really quick?
No, we'll just let it play. Why not? I mean, we've been letting them play. And
yeah, let it play.
I'm going to bid something.
I'll get some water and I'll be back too.
Get them to.
I got most of that. It's in the notes.
To follow me, and
you're just trying to get him to follow you?
Yeah, I want to get him to follow.
Okay.
And I'm gonna bid mind over matter to hopefully have the charisma have distracted them enough. Eternal life is this way. Follow me or die poor.
All right, roll a d6. Tell me it's a 1.
I'm also going to tell Mariah to watch our backs.
Mariah will turn around. She's like, hell yeah. Nord, as you see these 10, I don't want to be poor. Oh God, not like those people. As 10 of them are kind of following you, doing what you want. You notice that Simon is creeping up behind one of the people that's on their butts. As he whispers over to Mariah, you see following him, and she's like, yeah, okay, we're in the middle of them, Simon. What are we gonna do? What's Nord doing? He's talking bullshit.
That's what he does best.
Why is he glowing?
I think it's that light behind him casting on him.
Okay. Antagonist turn. As 10 of these cultists turn and they're like, what should we do? Goat man! He is the goat man! Goat man be praised! As the other 10 are like, no, what's wrong with you? The goat man is the devil. We need to follow the sleeping one. The sleeping one never did us any good. And they start arguing with each other. As the 10 that are on the ground get up and start fighting with the other 10. You start fighting with them. And they're trying to pull you down, Nord.
Oh, no.
And make bad happen. As Simon, the one KO'd guy, doesn't do anything because he's unconscious. Holger, roll me a d6. Let's see if he wakes up.
3.
He doesn't. He's like, out, slapjacked. Mariah says, these people are crazy to you, Simon.
That's why I'm trying to knock them all out.
Leah, the statue, takes her position with her bowl. As you see as you see Rebecca Foster creeping up out ahead as you're leveling your shot. Rebecca Foster's off to the flank as you're getting closer and closer and closer. The statue doesn't seem to do anything. All right, player turn.
So I bid metaphysical because Leah begins to wonder if this statue is a golem. And she wants to know if she can tell if she thinks it might be a golem.
Okay. How would she know that?
Well,
Slash, how would you figure it out?
I mean, for a better way to put it, she learned about golems in in temple, and in her own research, she knows that there are certain methods for crafting golems, and she looks and sees like if there's any telltale signs that this thing was created in such a way.
Okay. What would be one of them?
Usually, to my best understanding, golems have like a core of some sort. That's sort of like the vessel for the animating energy. So she would look and see if there's anything like obvious like that.
That you're looking for. How are you looking? You gotta decide this. Where are you looking? There's nothing that's glowing. There's no like video game that's like glowing at you. She's barefoot. She's about 8 feet tall. She's in a dress, it seems, like a slip that has like a little belt. It's cut off at the shoulders. She's made of some sort of stone. Hair that comes down. It doesn't move. Looks like an 8 foot tall statue of like an 8-year-old with this wide bowl.
Okay. Well, Leah sort of, she'll...
Remember, you have players that can help you too. You could have that.
We'll just ask them if they know what to look for.
I mean, they are called players for a reason.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys got any ideas?
Golems tend to sometimes have it scrawled on their forehead. If it is a tougher one, sometimes it is a scrawled piece of paper in their mouth or in a hole in the head. Those are the ones that I'm of how you activate a golem.
The drizzle gets a pip. The golem lore.
Yeah.
Or golem lore.
And like, I think it did started, or I think they did start in Israel. Like, I think that's where they're mainly, or where their lore starts. So
yeah. Yeah, because I mean, a stone statue, the mouth would probably be a good place for it, but I don't know how I would check that.
It would have to, if it would, the mouth would have to be partially open for them to even put the slip in. So you would be able to pull it out.
Gotcha.
So what do you do?
Does her mouth appear to be partly open?
No.
Okay. Well, what Leah will do, knowing these things, Leah will take aim.
Poe would know. By the way,
Leah will take aim with her.
I think Poe was a character from the their D&D campaign that they did for a number of years, or that Bill and Andrea and Drizzle and Hulker did before I was around, and so that's kind of an inside commentary for that.
And tell me if it's one. At Drizzle, Poe would actually know the answer to this because it was always the same for Poe.
That's a total of 3 successes to hit.
Okay, 3 successes as. Remember, roll a d6 as well for your crossbow.
Yeah.
Did either one of them roll a 1?
No.
Okay. All right. Remember, they can give you. Extra
You're back. So
I'm back.
I had a short moment about Poe because I think in this scene you discussed how Poe would know about the golem. Clearly, Andrea forgot about the golem. This is a question that I couldn't ask then, and can only ask at this point. Why would Poe know and Andrea doesn't know about this golem and how to defeat them?
So the reason
and
that,
certainly Leah doesn't.
So the reason that Drizzle knows is because in the game Richmond Fay, which is a D&D game that we ran prior to us doing stuff, it's on YouTube.
Same channel.
There were a lot of golems, a lot of because in D&D golems are a thing, like a common thing. Artificers and stuff have them, wizards have them, and I had my own take on them. And his character, Poe Papillon, D10.
Oh, D10.
Definitely messed with golems a lot. And so he was recounting back to what he remembered from that game. I actually messaged Drizzle.
Oh, Drizzle. So Drizzle played Poe.
Yeah.
Oh, then what was Andrea's character? What was their name?
Andrea's character was Sararith Vramamir, which is why Vramada is Ramadan.
It's not Ramadan, it's Ramadan.
Right. It's referencing other games. And what he was trying to do is be like, hey, look, here's what happened in the other game. But actually he was wrong. And so I messaged him before the game last night and was like, hey, so you're aware, this is actually what you were thinking about. He was like, oh my God, I couldn't remember. It's been, 2.5, 3 years. So
yeah. Well, I mean, if you know that much about golems, I mean, I just read, or I guess reading is a stretch. I just experienced the audiobook of Terry Pratchett's, I think it's Feet of Clay, and it was featuring golems. So it's a whole book on golems and kind of I don't want to do spoilers on it because it's kind of a fun book. There's some really, I like how Terry Pratchett gets a little political, says a lot. Definitely for golem rights or golem rights.
Right. Well, that's the thing with golems is like, there's all these different sorts in different societies. It's a Prometheus type thing, stealing the fire from heaven, the fire of life. There's a lot that goes into it, and I subscribe to this idea that a golem, it's imbued with energy and potentially with sentience, but that's actually not a common thing for a golem to be sentient and then to create a being almost like what's the movie called? It's like Transcendence or something. I think Johnny Depp's in it. Where basically you download yourself into a robot body. And you are essentially a golem. Like if you can download your consciousness into a cell phone or into a robot body, you're kind of a golem.
Yeah.
And that's really what you guys are playing with in the Red Red.
Huh. Well, I the way that golems were described in Terry Pratchett's books, it was like runic, the clay was sculpted and then there are all these bits of magic runes, and golems were made without mouths so they couldn't speak. But that was kind of like part of, again, spoiler alert. Some of the reasons why they did the things they did, but they were made to do tasks like a sewing machine, and they were thought of as a a tablet or a sewing machine, something that wasn't AI. I feel like we are in the process potentially of having to give our computers time off for R&R if AI gets too much more integrated into our daily lives. We're not there yet, but maybe one day. But I thought that was a fun moment. in the last campaign where you brought up.
Yeah, so the golem that you guys ran across, the statue, is a golem, or was, and was it sentient? No, it had a task.
Yeah,
and it did the task.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just murdered.
And there was a way to set it off. There was a way to destroy it, etc., etc.
Yeah, how do you think we did? That was some teamwork, right? Leah did some damage to it.
Yeah, no, you guys did well.
I did. We're stepping way away from the point of this podcast, but like with Nord just developing those potions kind of on the fly, is that cool or is that not cool? Is that like?
Yeah, it's in the rules. It's in the rules to mix with agents. It's just when you mix with agents, as in pre-mixed mixes to create an elixir, it's dirty and chaotic.
Yeah.
Which is maybe fine. If you want something that's stable, you have to brew it. Mm-hmm. And you want to use the purest materials. If you mix with agents, it's like you're trying to make a margarita. You can use all the bits and pieces and make a margarita, or you can go to the grocery and get a big plastic jug of margarita mix and add ice and like maybe tequila.
And it's not going to be as
which
good.
One is going to be better?
Yeah, it's not going to be as good.
That's it.
And you can get that same margarita mix at a restaurant these days, because that's how they make margaritas anymore. Even Mexican restaurants, it's all margarita mix now. It's not, nothing is pre-mixed unless you go to the high end. I can think of maybe 2 places that actually do a mix.
So when I get a margarita, if I actually want it made well, I'll be like, yo, I'll look at the bar. It's very pretentious of me. And I'll be like, yo, could you use the Cointreau or the Grand Marnier instead of the triple sec?
Right.
Because margaritas have triple sec in them, unless they're not making them right. And the moment that they're like, oh, it's like when you go to a fast food and you're like, yeah, no onions. And they literally have to make your stuff instead of just grab one they've already made and throw it in the microwave.
Right.
It's the same difference.
I don't recommend fast food anymore. Just don't recommend it. I think we should move on. There are a lot of commentators about Dungeons and Dragons, and these guys seem to really get a lot of views on the internet. And I think we should talk about them and kind of do a deep dive into what we're doing about what they do. So it's like people doing a thing about what other people are doing about other things. It's really interesting to me. I thought it was kind of funny. Ginny D seems to be popular. Her videos are getting 500,000 views.
I cannot say that I particularly like her videos.
Yeah. So you've seen her videos before.
I have. I think I saw her. I think I saw her when she was kind of coming up.
Uh-huh.
It's good stuff, and she's a girl, and she's a gamer, and she's a DM, and we need more of those.
Yeah, and she looks great. She looks cool. The image quality is really good, and I'm trying to find a video.
No, she's getting 500,000 views.
Yeah,
I mean, she's getting like real, But is she saying anything that other people aren't saying? Thus far, I have not seen.
Let's look. I mean, we're gonna handpick. I haven't gone through that many, but what jumped out to me is D&D is not improv. So this is I got you, like it sucked me in. I'm feeling what she's spitting out. I want to disagree with her because I feel like D&D is improv. Do you have any thoughts on that, dude? Yeah, it's clickbait.
She's gonna have some point about how it's not improv, and then my guess is she's actually gonna be talking about improv. It'll be like some semantic thing, like, well, technically, it's okay, whatever. But play it. We'll see what happens.
All right.
Maybe I'm wrong.
We'll go deep into this moment.
least our home games aren't. But the act of improvisation is definitely a part of the game, and it's a part that a lot of people...
Oh, she immediately, like in the first 10 seconds, I'm going to have to go back because I didn't even get to the volume level fast enough for her to actually say, so we're going to rewind, start it again.
Tabletop games are not improv, in the theatrical performance sense. At least our home games aren't. But the act of improvisation is definitely a part of the game, and it's a part that a lot of people find really difficult. Part of a dungeon master's job is reacting on the spot to the unexpected things that your players do, like using
okay, so she literally, it's just clickbait.
MLMs.
Yeah, so she just disagreed with herself in the first 5 seconds.
Within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, it's not improv in the sense that it's not like literally improvised theater, which is what improv means, by the way.
But
improvised theater. But you know, it's basically improv, and this is how you do it. It's like, go fuck yourself, dude.
But she's doing a lot of things that we
No,
don't
but she's
do.
cute, and she's a girl, and she's got the wig, and whatever, and she's interesting to listen to. Fine.
Look, she's got a sword.
Fine.
How many swords do you have?
She's got
I
a
mean, we
sword.
need Drizzle to get swords. Like, she's got a knife
I don't have
too.
any
I
swords.
mean, I don't have a cute
It's
shirt
fine.
on like
I'm
that.
not trying to hate on this girl. I'm not trying to hate on her.
No
It just-
hate.
Why is she popular?
All right, let's try and
She's
find
not saying
something
anything
else that isn't.
She's not
that
saying anything
isn't- You don't think there's anything that she's gonna pull out and say?
I think the one
adds
that
to the
comes up to
conversation.
my mind, the one that comes out to my mind, or comes. Okay, Jesus Christ, I'm trying to like fight. The thing that comes to my mind when I think of her, there was a video where she said, I want to say it's how to make a D&D character, like how to start, and maybe how to GM or DM. It was one of those. It's been a long time, like maybe a year, 2 years ago.
There's a year ago, Wizard 101, because she doesn't release every week. She releases twice a month, I think. So we create a lot more content than she does.
I bet she didn't at first, though. I wonder how she go back to her first things and see what they looked like, because this is when she's popular.
These are definitely really polished. So let's see where she started
Like,
out.
she's popular at this point, and you can't really
10
gauge
years
it.
ago. So she's been doing a long time. Her first video, which is surprising to me, only has 11K views. A lot of times when I find somebody on YouTube that I really like, I'm gonna go back and watch their first video.
Of course.
So she's playing a cosplay.
Hi guys, in this video I'm going to answer some of your questions about my cosplay stuff.
Yeah, so she's a con girl.
My first cosplay, or how I got started cosplaying, I started in early college working at the Renaissance Festival over the summer. That was when I started going to cons, and I went and saw some people cosplaying and was like, holy crap, you can just dress up anytime you want, which sounded ideal to me. I went
She looks like she's just post-college or in college.
to Starfest, and I
Well, she's also doing the Instagram angle at this point. So move forward. Although her editing isn't bad for 10 years ago.
Yeah, this is. I mean, her production is not terrible.
and it was
not bad.
And she's got a lot of she's got big eyes, windows to the soul kind of stuff.
Yeah, she's got the whole thing, but at this point, she's probably getting like a few hundred views.
Right, 10 years ago.
I mean, this is probably a big nothing.
All right, so
But that consistency is the thing. Her thumbnails get better.
I mean, her
She's talking
thumbnail
about
game.
cosplay.
Her thumbnail game 10
conventions.
years ago is not terrible. It's actually pretty good. And then she got she started out, she had the brown hair in the beginning, and then she got her gimmick. See, like even episode 2, episode 3, brown hair, 4, 5, 6, and then now
Well, she's a cosplay chick.
Yeah.
That's her entry. It's cosplay, and she probably gamed. But there's a point where she realized, get away from cosplay and start talking about whatever.
Yeah. But even, let's see, her
Because cosplay,
biggest...
it was really popular there for a minute. Oh, what the heck is Critical Role? Click on that.
Oh, well, that got less views than When She Sleeps. Oh no, it's Critical Role. So she did a thing on Critical Role, and this is her breakout video.
Oh. Well, look at that production.
I mean, it looks nice. I mean, that's great camera. Good pan. She's got costume. She's got decor. It's a music video.
And I bet she thinks she's real slick. Right now, she's probably pouring him some mediocre wine, talking about weird cult shit. Right now,
It's funny.
probably in her quarters with his falchion out, showing her where the giant eye goes. And she don't know.
We're gonna get dinged on this the copyright of this song for sure.
To the side of a pretty little souped-up pirate ride, carved some dicks into this floating heap.
All right. Well, in order for us to not get dinged too hard, I'm gonna go ahead and mute the song because songs will kill us faster than anything else. But I think it's kind of funny. It's got a couple of fun lines in there.
I think she's using color grading to get her skin.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that she boosted her skin and color grading and stuff like that. But I think she shot this video by herself.
Yeah.
Which
when was
is
it?
impressive.
5 years
this
ago?
is like 5 years ago.
2019. So D&D was getting huge. Critical Role was huge at this point. And there was an influx of these YouTube channels that were actually doing short episodes. And it was stuff like, I think Deerstalker is actually one of them, where a lot of Australian guys, where it would be like people playing D&D and then it would show them in costume actually doing the thing. And some of them were like The Office, built off that. Some of them were just zany D&D stuff. So this is in line with that. I wonder if she actually sang it.
Oh, that song? I mean, I'm sure that was her song, right? Like she probably made that song.
Well, I mean, it's I'm pretty sure it's not a cover, but a spoof on a song.
Oh no,
because it sounds like a song. It sounds like a song I know.
Well, we can go into the
I mean, look at the production. Like her production quality is up.
So this is her. This is her song that she wrote. Like if you.
Oh, okay.
Or.
Huh.
Oh no, that's not. 90 million views. That's impressive. I didn't see a sticker on there saying. Usually it has, if you have music and stuff like that, a copyright ding of what it was.
She gets theatrical. I mean, obviously that video is pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's not about cosplay. It's not, hey, I'm a normal person, blah, blah, blah. It's like real content.
Yeah.
And it showcases the fact that she can do what she can do.
Yeah. She's in the moment. I mean, she's in her moment. Her most popular videos are I think I ran into this. No group D&D, try solo play. Where she actually role plays a game with herself. And I think there was a moment a few years ago when I was just meeting you and kind of starting to, and that's where it was that video, No D&D Group, is the first video I saw of hers. I think it's by far her most popular video.
That seems
2.5 million views.
But I would watch a little bit of it to know, just because that seems really dumb.
Well, it's I didn't connect with it, but she definitely
Talk about how to play with
the algorithm was good for this for her.
DMs especially will love this. It's like dungeon master bait.
Please stop.
Seriously.
That's kind of funny.
A real right-hand resource. This book will be so popular, DM's Guild will have to beat them off. Then they'll just be all alone, rolling the dice.
Okay, I'm divorcing you.
No.
That was funny. It was funny.
Maybe you want to play more, but you can't find a group. Or
Get it?
Schedules are really restrictive.
She would never have a problem finding a group.
Or adventure more with a character whose campaign ended. Maybe you actually do want to be the main character. Maybe you're a DM and you just want an opportunity to play.
It's fucking stupid.
Or you want a fun way to.
Well, I think she's got a gimmick.
It's just clickbait, man.
This is
It's just
stick.
clickbait.
This is stick. She like the reason I like the video when she did this is because it was like a mania. It was like she was pushing an excited mania.
Saw a wave of popular solitaire RPG adventures like Fighting Fantasy.
I think I'm just not made for YouTube.
Competitors like Tunnels and Trolls even have solo gameplay built into the core system. Today, I'm going to introduce you to a book designed for solitaire D&D gameplay. This isn't a module or a choose-your-own-adventure book. It's a flexible system that allows you to mimic a DM-guided experience through an open world that you generate as you go. I'll walk you through the system, and then I'll show you the highlights of my own solo gameplay so that you can see what exactly this kind of session looks like, and whether or not you want to try it for yourself.
And this is the perfect gameplay for an incel. You know how much I love the incels.
Called The Solo Adventurer's Toolbox by Paul Bimware. There's a part 1 and a part 2, which you can get bundled, but they also both function as standalone resources, with the second book adding more depth and detail. We're exploring these books today because the Dungeon Masters Guild has once again sponsored me so that I can just...
So she's doing this for money, and that's why it has views, because they paid money
community content
to make this an advertisement.
Creators can legally use official D&D material to create and share their own game content.
I'm just not interested in it.
Yeah, it's not your style.
I'll tell you something I am interested in.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
D&D players like you.
I'll tell you something I am interested in.
And provide resources for your games. You can
There is, I'll actually send it to you.
for 10% off digital
The guy's name is Counterpoint. Counterpoint's 40K. Counterpoint's 40K, as in Warhammer 40K. Now, some of the politics of this guy you'll probably disagree with. He's a military guy. But he pretty much keeps it all in line.
I don't disagree with the military.
Right, but they're typically a little more conservative.
That's not true at all.
All right, well, we can argue about it at some point. All right, fine. You're right. I'm wrong. I am wrong.
No,
I am wrong.
I just you make a blanket statement about anything. It's there's always exceptions. There's always exceptions.
There's always exceptions. Everyone's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's who you know. I know it's not
Never
true.
mind. Lord,
No, send it to me. Send it to me.
Nope, I told you what it was. You get the internet. We don't have to look at it. It's not even D&D.
Oh. Well, did you send it to me?
No.
I don't know. I don't have it.
You would have messaged you that.
Oh, you just tell me what it is and I'll look it up. I know you said it before. But
it's Counterpoint's 40K.
I'm not trying to like steamroll you. Oh shit, video games. So this is like 40K kind of content.
Yeah, but his stuff, it's just reviewing 40K stuff, and the way he goes about it, despite being extremely popular.
Great themes, great lore, details, and fluid and well-designed.
And he's got almost 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Almost 100,000 subscribers. This dude keeps it real. Like,
for the sake of casual.
I really respect how he does his videos.
And it looks like, from what I see, he is in a workshop, and so he makes a lot of his own costumes.
Our animation break.
He does minis.
Real life video.
He's a straight up 40K guy.
So this is a video game review. Should we go into?
No, it's not a video game. It's not video games. It's all Warhammer 40K lore, and actually, you picked probably the most contentious one.
Okay, good. Well, that's my life.
That big, not that person, but the next one, the really big person, it's called a custodian. And that is a female custodian, which is a huge rift in the 40K community.
Yeah, and I know all about that because we've actually talked about that on our podcast.
We have?
Yeah.
I guess it's probably been mentioned. Anyway, this is a really good episode, and this guy has a very interesting idea about it. He is against female custodians, but he says that the way they did this, I think it's Games Workshop who does these videos. I think a lot of fans will do them as well. But he was like, they really respected the lore with this this episode. Anyway, my point is, he's super popular, like super popular, and yet he could have 100 views, and he would do the same stuff. And I just really respect that.
Well, he's doing
like I don't feel clickbaited.
He's doing what we're doing right now. Like he's literally sitting there watching the animation of what is this? So this is a movie or a video game for 40K?
So in 40K, you'll have cinematics and video games, but there'll also be these short animations. From what I understand, this is a show. Like, and they put out little episodes.
Okay.
And
So
he promotes all of that, and he cuts
Okay.
them up too, like on purpose so that people will actually go watch them.
Yeah. Yeah, he's taking the time and energy to.
I don't want to be out here. Quiet.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be out there either. It seems like a bad place.
I don't like it.
Good, man. The Imperium is not a good place to be.
It's a lot of war.
So what?
But I mean, you know, the thing about 40K, it's funny that there's that argument about like, you know, no women. You put somebody in a mech suit, and you know, it's really a great equalizer. Like any testosterone, estrogen, physicality. Are they mech suits or are they just armor?
So I am no authority on 40K. There's a lot of lore, like,
it's
and
magic.
people know it really well.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably, it's magic. So what's going on right now is the woman that's walking towards this guy is called a blank.
Mm-hmm.
The warp, as in psychic energy, doesn't affect her.
Mm-hmm.
So she's able to turn off that psyker. He's basically a sorcerer who can't control his own abilities. And if they go nuts, they'll explode the fucking planet. Like, they're really dangerous.
It seems like she's
those are
fucking
called
up there.
Tyranids, and they are one of the alien races that's
Okay.
going to go kick some ass. And that is Custodian. A Custodian is pretty much the paragon human.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're smarter, faster, stronger, larger. There's only so many of them. I think there's like 10,000, or there's a certain number of them. And they're really badass.
In this episode, there are multiple.
So they themselves,
with differing priorities,
whether they're armored or not,
are defending the planet against
will
invasion.
they could kill 1,000 people. Like, they're just absolute badasses. But also they're smarter. They have better reflexes. They're everything. They're immortal. Like, they will not die of age. They're genetically perfect, pretty much.
Nice. Wow.
And the idea is that when they're in their armor, which, you know, of course, it's not magic per se, but it's definitely enhances them, and it's made of stuff that you know, it's power armor. There's a specific reason why there are no custodians. That's contentious. There's no space marines that are women. And honestly, to have that argument, you need to have two people that really know the lore and why.
For sure. Well, and
there are women in 40K. It's just there's no space marine women in 40K.
I remember, you know, I'm enough of a geek that I actually I thumbed through the 40K book, one of the 40K books years and years ago. I mean, a friend of mine had one. He showed it to me. And I remember there being a chapter on women. And I know we've talked about this before on the show, but I mean, I remember the artwork and it being pretty short.
There
I
are
didn't
women.
read. didn't read the book deeply. I don't know anything about the lore, and to go into any depth about it will be, from my opinion, the artwork is phenomenal for this. I think they're very
amazing.
creative. The animation is quite good. I think we're talking over the guy talking about like his insights to it. So I feel like we should listen to him for a moment.
Guards the Psykers and make sure none of them get demonically possessed or explode while waiting for the black ships. The Sister of Silence is in another class altogether. Sisters of Silence are an all-female warrior caste of the most powerful nulls, enhanced and armored to be witch hunters, judges, and jailers. They oversee the collection of Psykers by the black ships, go on special forces missions to kill renegade Psykers, and deploy with the Custodies as needed. Together they are the twin claws of the talons of the Emperor, and as a combined force there are few that can withstand them. Nulls often engender a sense of disgust and malaise in those they encounter, inexplicably repulsing mortals, while appearing in the warp not as the light of a soul, but as a howling and unending void.
Well, she seems pretty badass.
Under the protectorate of the White Templars, borders the Segmentum Solar, the space around Holy Earth, and the Segmentum Pacificus to the galactic west. Hive Fleet Leviathan, the third and largest Tyranid incursion into the Milky Way, was splintered by two major actions. One was the devastation of Baal, a bloody Empiric imperial victory on the Blood Angels' home planet. The second was the diversion of the fleet into Orc space in what was known as the Octarius Campaign. While these actions partially defeated and delayed the Tyranid onslaught, the hive mind were grouped into three tendrils.
I think it's difficult. Whenever you're facing a hive mind, you got a bunch of people kind of working in tandem together. It's got to be a difficult battle.
Hive fleets made their way into the comparatively poorly defended Segmentum Pacificus to wreak havoc and to recover their strength. Tyranids often deploy vanguard organisms to scout and make ready planets for the fleet. They have an effect known as the Shadow of the Warp, an overwhelming warp presence that oppresses Psykers and makes extrasolar communication difficult, if not impossible. Varen, one of the Psykers, hears the cries and screams of the Tyranid vanguard, panics, and runs for the forest with Sister Atlacoya in hot pursuit.
Can I pause it just for 1 second? Can we talk about the hive mind just for a second? Like how that works?
Yeah.
You know, like the Borg, their hive mind, they're kind of autonomous, but they're like constantly reporting back. You know, they're given a mission and they're like, yes, I'm going to do this mission. This is something I'm going to do. But when they're like beamed over, they're sort of on their own. They're like mechanized super soldiers that make choices kind of in their own world, even though the general cause is always the same. I wonder if
that's not entirely true. It's not entirely true. Like Borg don't make decisions on their own.
Well, they're not controlled by. I mean, the Borg Queen doesn't have like a game controller. There's no way that the Queen could possibly have that amount of control.
Well, actually, she can. So the thing is that, at the beginning, there was no Borg Queen. Like that kind of came about.
Yeah, it was eventually.
I want to say, it
was a movie.
The second generation.
Yeah, it was
second
the
TNG movie.
Yeah,
but before that, the Borg speak in one voice. So you are one voice among many. So the idea is that you do have technically an individuality, but you're in the soup constantly connected with the other Borg. So when you're doing stuff, it's a constant relay back to the main thing. And all of those minds combined can pay attention to kind of everything at once. There's a little bit of a delay, but the real interesting things happen when the Borg called Hugh is disconnected from the hive mind and then starts developing his own personality. So it's not that they don't have personalities, is that their personalities aren't developed. But a normal Borg is absolutely connected and is never alone. when they do an action, it's almost like a, hey, I'm doing this action, and the Borg collective is kind of making a choice.
Sure.
Right?
But I mean, they in this video, they just brushed on the hive mind, which leads to a lot of other questions. I know Rick and Morty also, Rick had a relationship with the hive mind, and that I don't know if you like Rick and Morty or not, but
I've only seen a few episodes of it.
But he has the relationship. Spoiler alert for but I mean they're all kind of acting under one mind. It's just one mind, separated a million different ways. And if you've ever played Space Invaders, and you're shooting and you're like 3 or 4 ships wide, you focus on the middle ship, but those side ships, they're fodder.
Right. Right.
And I'm wondering how the hive mind works with this. I mean, I know it's science fiction.
I'm not entirely certain how the Tyranids work. They remind me a lot of the Zerg in StarCraft. And in StarCraft, you have an overmind, very similar to in Ender's Game with the bugs. So there's a queen that is controlling all of it and is able to sort of outsource the thinking amongst many, like a bot computer, a bot network. But there's a controller that's being constantly made aware of what's going on. And then all these little like zerglings, those are the appendages, the fingernails and stuff. But like they themselves don't necessarily have an ego. Like they're all id.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea. I'm not sure about the Tyranids. It seems like they do have a consciousness.
It's like a communication between the hive mind is like, instead of speaking, they have telepathic,
like telepathy. Well, they're probably connected to the warp. Everything is through the warp in 40K. That's where you get your psychic, your magic, called psychers. So any of that stuff, it's a connection to the warp.
I feel like I'm getting ready to disrupt some science fiction here with my logic. So it's the hive mind. They can also refer to a collective of thoughts of a group of people, such as internet users. When you get a bunch of internet users and we're all in the interneting, we're going to not work it out together. So there is something with a hive mind that keeps them playing the same game in the same direction. So I just kind of had that
group
epiphany of like, where are we going with this collective of group of people thinking like 5 people can't order the same pizza? What is it they're doing that allows them to take the collective thoughts of all these people and make them unified?
Well, group mentality, I mean, that's something that it's a boon.
Yeah.
Right? Being able to other and say, okay, well, by nature, by dint of saying, well, we are a group, that means that you're dividing yourself from others, whether those others are sentient beings or other species or other people that look different or other aliens or whatever. That's a great strength that a lot of animals have.
Sure. And
it's
clearly
also a weakness, right?
In the military, there's a lot of groupthink in the Marines or something like that. When you have a force and everybody is gifted this magical thing of instantaneous communication because they've got a radio of some kind where they're in each other's ears, but they kind of knew what they signed up for, whereas the Borg clearly like that wasn't an option.
Yeah, you didn't really sign up to be a Borg. You kind of just got incorporated.
Yeah. Basically, you set aside your own personal beliefs and adopt the opinions of the rest of the group. And that's group,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the Borg don't set them aside. The Borg, it's forced off of them.
Right.
Like you're forced.
Yeah, resistance.
And you
is
can
futile.
resist. Yeah,
But
you
it's
can
futile.
resist, but you can't resist against that much.
Right.
And so, eventually you kind of give in.
I just, it's always, that's always kind of been a fascinating thing. And I don't think the TV show did a very good job of explaining it, like when Borg dream, maybe like they have some freedoms like that they had to create that void space. Yeah. Like in the Voyager of them to, have a little rest and relaxation in between like galaxy domination.
Yeah, I think originally they didn't. That was a development, which I thought was interesting. They really pick apart why the Borg ultimately fail. But when they're introduced, and if you watch Picard, eventually they really get into that in the season 3. When they're introduced, Q talks about them, and he has a level of respect for the Borg.
Sure.
And in Voyager, they really go into, the relationship of the Queen and talking with Janeway and all that. And you get a very different mindset, like why the Queen does what she does. She's a villain, but there's an element of
she had compassion.
The Borg started out like we were, and they technologically advanced to the point it's essentially fascism, where they're like, look, everyone does the same thing. You're forced to do it. And if everyone does what they're supposed to, I guess it's more like communism, then everything is harmonious. And anything that goes against that harmony is shut down.
Yeah. So they have a way, and we're just walking through this. They have a way of taking your individual thought. Oh, I disagree with that. And I guess that node turns into a 0, and all the people around you are like, no. Proceed, like until you're compliant with that.
Right.
Set of instructions.
You're like re-educated or something. Reprogrammed.
Yeah. Program I guess it did take, it wasn't an instantaneous thing. You weren't immediately a Borg. It took they put some equipment on you, they kind of knocked you out, they restructured.
You don't get knocked out.
Well, I mean, they made it so you didn't fight anymore. You were incapacitated to
you don't
run
have,
away.
You don't have
you were
control
captured.
of your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that first node, when they inject you, like you don't have body function control anymore.
No, you're done. You're done.
So I'm guessing that the fear level or the insanity level that you're being exposed to as a new replicant is, do you think it's fear-based or do you think it's joy-based? Because I think, if you really think about it, how do you train animals to do anything? It's joy-based. So like they give you the best drugs you've ever had before. And that's like you're in a euphoric state.
It'd be a better move.
Yeah.
It'd be a better move. The horror of the Borg is, one, if you get caught with the space zombie disease, then you turn into one. They're space zombies, okay?
Sure.
When they take you, you're awake. You're awake for all of it. You remember all of it. There's no numbing agent or any of that stuff. They brutalize and butcher your body irreparably. Like you can't come back from it. Like they take out your eyeball and they saw off your arm and replumb your nuts and whatnot, and like, so you are violated when you are assimilated. It's
Absolutely.
pretty blatant about that. And to boot, you technically still have your mind, but you cannot control yourself and ultimately will make the decisions they want you to. That's the horror. You don't turn into a mindless zombie until you give
remember. Yeah, you remember everything. I mean, Picard and Seven of Nine.
Yeah, you are, for lack of a better word, plundered.
Yeah, but I presume that the 40K hive mind is different.
No, the Tyranids, they eat you. They attempt to consume biomatter, and that allows them to replicate or whatever. Like they don't assimilate people; they consume them.
Yeah, so they're the hive mind that basically harvests your resources.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And the so in StarCraft, the Zerg, they don't really necessarily eat you. They do more like what the Thing does. Like you're sort of like ingested into the Zerg, and you're modified and kind of become like a howling wall, or if you're strong enough, if you're psychically strong enough, you might become an actual like boss or whatever. And that happens in 40K too. If you get into the warp and you're corrupted by chaos, whatever that means, or you pledge yourself to a chaos god, you'll start like mutating and becoming something. And if you're strong enough psychically, if your soul is strong enough, then you're still sentient, but you're changed. And that's the horror of that.
I think it's interesting that it's like humans trying to figure out ways of developing, like, the fiction is humans trying to develop ways of being more like an ant or a bumblebee, where they have this hive, they fight these wars. All the ants, when some other ant colony is in your zone, they're all gonna just seemingly mindlessly go out and attack to the end or the death, or same with bees. They're gonna protect the queen.
They know what's up.
Yeah, to their own.
But the bees, like drone bees, make individual actions, from what I understand. I don't think there's telepathy there. I think there's
telepathy with the ants either. I don't think they're not beaming back to the queen. The queen's not saying do this.
The signal's like, oh, you got to get back to the plane, to the queen, because
you said communism, and I think it's more autocracy. It is it is in the sense that
I hear what you're saying. The thing is, communism, I mean, if you bring it out of like the book, then there's communism of that sort hasn't existed, because communism leads to anarchy.
Impossible.
But
it's impossible.
But communism in practice is an autocracy. I mean, like, there's a pretty distinct leader or Politburo, like, gaggle of leaders that fight and direct everything.
Yeah, but I mean,
the Borg to do
the Borg queen, that there's somebody controlling the hive mind. I think when they introduced the queen, I actually was a little upset. I was like, oh,
right,
there's a hierarchy. This is some bullshit. And that annoyed me in the fiction a little bit. Like, oh, okay, because it kind of made sense a little bit. Okay, you've got all this stuff in there. You've got this euphoria. How interesting would it be to have no power structure, where it's everybody is on the same fucking playing field? And the reason you want to keep it is because you see the whole entire galaxy differently, because you have all this insight and
right.
stuff from a myriad of different cultures and places and beings. And
it's like the Borg is the organism.
Yeah, it is the organism. And I always kind of thought that ants or bees were probably like that. They're not, the queen's not dictating to them. They're going to protect the queen.
Right. Yeah, they kind of make it different, but there are elements in Star Trek where the Borg has splinters, or it becomes splintered, and they still have their collective without a queen.
Right.
And they're able to do that, and it works. But it's a way of thinking. I mean, you could argue Jerry Ryan's entire thing in Star Trek Voyager, when she starts getting other Borg, the Borg children, she makes a collective. It's just a collective of like 4 or 5 people.
Right.
And it's a way of thinking.
I vaguely remember an episode. There was an episode of Voyager where they were all like a bunch of kids or something, and they couldn't sleep, and they were like, we got a little micro collective going on here.
Yeah.
And this is okay for some reason. We're not going to take over the ship because
we're good.
We're good. This is all contained. There's a protocol in place.
We're fine. We're all fine.
We're all fine. Do we need to I feel like I totally interrupted us from the 40K guy, and I feel like
it's cool. 40K it's too much. I really like the lore. I'm learning more about it and such for some reason. But there's so much. One of the cool things about 40K is no one is happy. Not really, anyway. In the current age,
everything around him, and
that's just like
so in the current.
Yeah, that's just like going to court.
in the current age, like for example, this Sister of Silence just rescued that psyker. But the thing is, she didn't do it for the psyker. She did it because if the psyker had gone Nova, it would have been a huge explosion and absolute horror would have happened. She did it because literally all of those psykers, they're going to go take them back to Earth and sacrifice them. Like, that's what they're doing. They're gathering them for death. And not like, oh, you get stabbed in the heart. No. Like, you're thrown into this stasis thing where you are slowly burned up and used as a fuel source.
You're like matrixed.
Yeah. To power the Golden Throne for one day.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, and the irony is there's this huge religion. They call it Holy Terra. They call it the Emperor, the God Emperor, this whole thing. And the custodians, the Custodies, and the Silent Sisters and them, they know the truth. The Emperor was a secular dude who said, "Don't worship me. I am not a god." And yet, in the universe, all these people die because they literally have faith in the God Emperor of mankind.
Sure.
That's wild. It's a wild mental explosion.
I mean, didn't Jesus kind of say that? Don't worship me. Maybe I might be making that up. I'm pretty sure he didn't say he didn't say worship me. I'm pretty, that was not like, I read the little parts of the Bible. They made me learn some Bible shit. And I'm pretty sure that Jesus never actually came out. I feel like this deserves a Google search.
Well, I'm pretty sure. I mean, there's a lot of Christians that will disagree with all of what you're saying.
Worship me. Just ask any Jew-ish person. I'm sorry. I would like to at this point, don't cancel me. I'm
no
not
problem offending Christians. No problem whatsoever. That's okay. Neither do I really.
No. Oh, I was right. You know, I love to say that I'm right when I'm right. And you know what Jesus said? Jesus said, this is our little Bible moment. No, Jesus did not say worship me explicitly. However, he did make a divine claim about himself in more subtle ways, like, I'm your Lord. I don't know. It's so... but he didn't ask for it. They just wanted love, not worship.
Right.
That's off.
Well, on
topic.
that note, let's wrap this up.
Well, I wanted to go into one last thing, which is DungeonCraft. Is that okay? Are you ready to finish? I didn't want to.
Like a few more minutes, and we can finish up.
I think the DungeonCraft guy does it really well.
He does. He does it very well.
He's definitely got a solid amount of subscribers. His videos aren't getting the views. He's got like 12K views on his last video. But it looks like he's averaging about 500,000 views. Or here and there, he'll get 500,000 views. Whereas that other person you said was clickbait, is he clickbait? Don't do
still
it.
Going?
No, I mean, I was just asking.
Oh, you were asking me a question.
Oh, asking, where, we were talking about clickbait and, don't do it.
He definitely does. He definitely does clickbait.
Yeah, but this is acceptable clickbait.
I would like you to go shove your head in your own ass. let me see your button pushing and raise you. Oh, fuck you.
As long as we end it out with a little style, that's.
If you'd like to ask me a real question, then let's go for it. Otherwise, I meet you, good sir, with an affront of equal proportion.
I don't know. I think it's interesting content. He seems to be pretty upset about not getting the new Dungeon Master's Guide. I think he's not feeling the new version of D&D. Hasbro is apparently firing a bunch of people from their staff, which makes sense because we're in the world of that's what is the fuck going to happen, especially with AI making it easier to write anything or create any mock-ups, because you take an artist, and they would have like 12 artists or something like that, do a bunch of designs to see where they want it. You just have one artist look at a bunch of AI and create whatever they want to do much faster with AI. Apparently Matt Mercer, I mean, this is full circle. Let's watch the Matt Mercer one, because we started with Critical Role. Clearly, I watched some of this video at some point. So let's see where they're going with Critical Role. I think I went back too far, because this is like the intro fun stuff where he's advertising something. Great intro. And is this must be like Roll20 or something? Is that correct?
I don't think it's Roll20. It's Hero Forge, but it's one of those.
But it's like pre-gen. Or he didn't create that. Tailspire.
No.
Dun, 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 dun.
am conveying the will of the Emperor.
Supposed to do it Beavis and Butthead style.
Oh, I've got.
I think you're playing Warhammer as well.
Yeah, I got a couple audios going on.
About it today on DungeonCraft.
Yeah, I like him. He looks fun.
Welcome to DungeonCraft. I'm Professor DM, and this channel is about all things tabletop role-playing games. And if you're into that, Deathbringer, tell them what they should do.
Like, subscribe, bell, comment, newsletter, Patreon.
Whenever I do a news video, I get hit up in the comments by people complaining about the clickbait and asking why I don't do anything else anymore. Well, good news, because in my last 6 videos...
So he just admitted it.
Broken Empires, Cairn, Slay the Dragon, Dragon Town, Blade Runner, and did an adaptation of The Telltale Heart. So you're in luck. Go click on those videos. There will be links at the end. As for the rest of you, this is from CBR. Longtime Dungeons & Dragons game designer Chris Perkins has confirmed that he's stepping down as product lead after the upcoming Dungeon Master's Guide. The confirmation came from Perkins in the gaming outlet.
Probably because there was a scandal that you discussed on our show a long time ago.
Over the years, fans are a little worried about the future of the world's greatest tabletop role-playing game. However, in an official quote from Wizards of the Coast, the company affirms that Perkins' change in roles doesn't mean he's leaving the company entirely. Not to worry, Chris isn't going anywhere. He's just taking on a new role for D&D. We'll share more details when we have them. And Chris himself shared those details on Twitter. Now I'm creative director, which is more a behind-the-scenes gig that lets me play quietly in a bunch of different sandboxes. So why did he quit, and who might replace him? I can only speculate, but my guess is after working at TSR and then Wizards of the Coast for something like 3 decades, doing the Dungeon Master's Guide is sort of a culminating activity. To follow in the steps of Gygax and Cook and all those other great designers, I don't think you can get better than that. That's kind of the milestone XP, so to speak. Now, I've admired Chris Perkins' work for decades. Both of us wrote for Dungeon Magazine back in the 1990s. I was published several times, and he was published many, many more times. Starting with Dungeon issue number 11.
It's always nice to get published even a couple of times in some media.
Magazine was no cakewalk. It only published 5 or 6 adventures per issue and was published bi-monthly. So that means you only had 1 in 36 chances to make it in a given year. And the process was intense. First, you had to send a 1 to 2 page query letter saying, this is my proposal, and then they had to write you back saying they wanted to see the rest of it. Then you sent them the main manuscript, and if they liked it, they sent it back with 1,000,000 corrections for you to make. Then you batted it back and forth several more times until they were happy. And I gotta say,
good lord,
editors were very egalitarian. Just because you published one module didn't mean you automatically got a leg up on the next publication. You had to start from 0 and compete against the best of the best, which is what Chris Perkins was. The first time he was published, he was probably in his teens. That makes him a child prodigy. And he went from the slush fund to being the editor of Dungeon Magazine in just a few short years. And if you've ever seen Chris Perkins Game Master live, you know he is the real deal. So I got a lot of respect for Chris Perkins because I know how difficult that was. And I wish him the best of luck in his new position and with all his future endeavors. So who's going to replace him? Matt Mercer?
No. He's making too much money to do that.
No way that is true. First of all, Matt Mercer lives in Los Angeles because he is an A-list voice actor, as are the rest of the cast of Critical Role. So that's their home base.
And after the scandal between those guys, it's probably not going to happen.
This year doing live performances in front of thousands of audience members. That's got to take up some time.
But it does show that their ability to that they control the zeitgeist of Dungeons and Dragons at this point.
And if that isn't enough, he's also the producer and voice actor on the Legend of Vox Machina animated series on Amazon. And if you're going to be a TV producer, the place to live is LA. Of course, Wizards of the Coast is located in Seattle, Washington. I don't imagine Matt is going to want to do that commute, or he would enjoy being confined to an office where people are going to supervise him and tell him what to do. And then there's the money. And if you're young and wondering what a game designer makes, well, if you work at Wizards of the Coast, you can expect to be paid top pay for this field.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely meat and potatoes discussion of the behind the scenes of what's happening
but Matt Mercer,
in Dungeons and Dragons. And he's done some research and I guess has some insider knowledge of what's going on.
And Matt Mercer makes Hollywood money, and that's a whole different level. So if Matt Mercer doesn't replace Chris Perkins, who will? Is it going to be?
So it is clickbait. I mean, Perkins out, Mercer in. Who will lead D&D? That's obvious clickbait.
Yeah, I think we look at one other, like something else. I feel like I spoiler alerted on that because I think I watched about half that video. As you can see, I've looked at some of his videos. I don't look at all of his videos. Oh, look.
Some of them are really good.
Is that the lady that we reviewed with the blue hair? Took me 10 years. Ginny D. Yeah. So like, let's watch a Ginny D. This guy.
Back called. It took 10 years, but I finally read the DM's guide, and so should you. It's about her favorite rules and tips that are buried in the text. And people went nuts on X, accusing her of being a poser who never read the rules. But I've got Ginny's back on this. I've played 5 editions of Dungeons & Dragons ever since this one, and I can say pretty confidently that no one I know ever read this book cover to cover. It was always kind of a menu document.
You said that like many times.
Not even worse when it comes to the second edition of the game. I actually wrote modules for Dungeon Magazine, but I never read the DM's guide at all. I never read any of the second edition.
That makes sense, actually.
To the first one. The reason I wear this +2 vest of protection is I give Dungeon Master advice, and when I do, I hear it in the comments, how I don't know the rules, I'm doing it all wrong, or I'm changing the rules so much it's not even D&D anymore. But many of my hottest hot takes are optional rules and ideas I take directly from the 5th edition Dungeon Master's Guide, and I'm going to share them with you today. And even if you play an old school game or a retro clone, you'll still find...
Well, insight on how you can hack the game has got to be really helpful for new, like creating a character. You want to create a character that is not at all like you'll make the DM have a lot of difficulty trying to kill you if you have an overpowered character.
So it's interesting stuff, you know. I like Professor Dungeon Master. He's a very practical dude. You know, I reached out to him a couple times and was, you know, swatted down because we're not popular. But he's also a practical guy. Like, why review or do mashups with people that aren't on your level, right?
Well, I mean,
and he's pretty obvious. He's pretty honest about it. He's like, look,
but he gets no benefit. Yeah, he's got no benefit from that.
I mean, why would I do that? This is a business.
I think that, you know, it definitely tells. I mean, he's being honest, I think, and I wonder if we'll ever get to that place. Like, if somebody came to us with their role-playing game, and we're making millions of dollars, and we take the time to respond, you know, saying, you know what, guy, we're not going to give you a handout. We're not going to lift you up. And I think that is common with anybody who's found some fame and some notoriety, that their image and likeness, if it's going to be tied to something, and that's kind of what we're doing in reverse by doing this fucking podcast. We're putting our image and likeness on them, whether they like it or not. Just to, and I think this is kind of a neat way to wrap up the episode. It's just like, why do we sit here and review and watch through and have these discussions, you know, if we're just nobodies? And it's because even nobodies, in my opinion, have a lot to say, and it's important for us to be able to communicate and put our 2 cents in, whether or not the powers that be agree with us or not. It's not for them to decide.
That's right. We're gonna do it anyway, motherfuckers. All right. Well, let's roll. Interesting stuff. I'll the next one I'll have a list of some things we can review. Maybe even like make it simpler to like one thing we're reviewing or something like that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I liked it being free form. this episode, but I think that we can always be more specific, and I think that's where the people we reviewed have really excelled. They're specific in the content that they create, and that is why they do and find success.
Right. All right, man. Well, let's wrap this up. You want to lead it out?
I guess so. This is the Geeky Gamer Podcast with Ken and Bill.
That's it.
There was music at the beginning of the podcast by all lowercase letters and Mr. Interrupt. We do have a Patreon. It does exist at patreon.com/Geeky Gamer Podcast. Do that.
Do it.
Media and production has been brought to you by Couchfire Media. And from 2018 to 2023, I don't know where they've been the last year. Tawari Blade Productions is doing
really
some
sure
other shit.
doing.
I had no idea. This has been our Geeky Gamer guest watch party. See you